rather unusual video because we were just about to finish lunch and we got into a very interesting discussion, almost philosophical and intellectual. Not that we are intellectuals, because we're all plebeians, we're all commoners, and the word philosophical and intellectual apply to people like Bertrand Russell and the likes. If you heard of the name? No?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
All I can say about that place, you can speak for yourself.
But I managed to persuade these fine people here to try and replicate what we were discussing over lunch just now. So today we were discussing over lunch, why does certain activities make us happy? For instance, because we are involved with Bonsai, it makes us happy. So before I go any further, you all know Kevin Wilson, you know me. You may have seen Claude because he did his own channel for a while. Claude is a bonsai person. I got to know you through bonsai first of all.
Yeah.
But what you don't know, and I'm sure you don't mind me telling the world about you, you are a Church of England minister of religion. And you were ordained into the ministry, was it 2 years ago? 2.5 years ago.
Correct, yeah.
2.5 years ago at St. Paul's Cathedral. And I went to his ordination. And his background, in case you don't know, he's written books about it. You may hear about his life story through other channels. He was basically, you say it in your own words.
I was a career criminal.
Career criminal.
Yes, I was a career
And how tall are
criminal.
you? 6 foot?
I'm 6'8".
6'8".
Yes.
I would like to come across you in the dark. Okay, you're a professional criminal, and so you were what? Drug dealer?
I was a drug dealer. I was a drug dealer, and the book I wrote, my autobiography, is called Guns to God,
Yes.
and that came out a few years ago. And like you said, I'm on my final year of my curacy over in central London. So yeah, I'm in the priesthood in the Church of England.
But we are friends through Bonsai.
Correct.
But in Bonsai, we have so many people from so many different backgrounds. I wouldn't say profession, you know, crime is a profession. Anyway, but you're such an interesting person. It just shows how diverse
Yes.
people are in Bonsai. We all come from different backgrounds. And this lady here, Lauren, I've met you only about 2 months ago through dance.
Yeah.
Through dance. And she's also had a very interesting history. You don't have to say too much. Say what you're comfortable telling people.
Yeah, very similar to Claude. I've come through a very dark night of the soul, let's say, and turned my life around in my early 20s through dance, through learning. I started to dance with fire. That was my first, and it kind of wrenched me out of a really dangerous life of drug dealing and addiction, and just sent me on a completely different path. So dance really was my savior.
But I think religion plays a part. Not religion, not in the established sense.
Yeah,
isn't it?
but God, yeah, I when I danced, I felt a sense of purpose, of connection, of my life made sense. It made it worth going through the kind of pain and.
But for you, there is a God in your life.
Oh, definitely,
Is that-
yeah, very strong God.
Because it's not
very
in
strong
everyone's
God.
life.
It's a miracle
It's
I'm
in your
alive.
life, in your life.
It's a miracle I'm alive. A miracle that I've come through what I've come through. A lot of people I spent my teenage years and my early 20s with didn't make it. So it's a miracle I'm alive, and I thank God every day. And dance makes me. I dance with that spirit of God.
So our conversation over lunch was, what is it that makes people happy? Because for a lot of us who are into bonsai, we feel happy when we're doing bonsai. Whether it's just creating or just even buying a tree makes you happy, isn't it? So bonsai makes us happy. And why does it do that? And of course, I've had a very varied interest, extracurricular activities has been my life story. When I was in college, I never did study. You know, I just studied enough to pass my exams. But I was known for my cycling, and I was always chasing girls and going to dances, even in India, in my railway town where I grew up in Kharagpur, very famous university, if we can call it. And that was my background. I've always been engaged in extracurricular activities. From the age of 17 or 18, I was the state cycling champion. So I did nothing. Eat, sleep, drink, think, everything was cycling centered. Even in college, I nearly ruined my career doing cycling. When I came to this country, of course, it was work related. I had to make a living, so I did that. And then once I could establish myself, then bonsai and gardening came into my life. And of course, bonsai turned my entire life around. Although I was a qualified engineer, I went on to become a civil servant. Didn't like that, so I chucked everything up. And I found that there was more happiness in bonsai, so I did that. So bonsai is the source of happiness. But that wasn't the end of story. There was a phase in my life when swimming, because I never stay still, I'm always trying to learn new things. I took up swimming at the age of 55, and within 5 years I became a swimming teacher and swimming coach. I used to swim 6 to 7 days a week, and I even went to the World Swimming Coaches Conferences to improve my teaching skills in swimming. So it was absolutely obsessive, and I got great enjoyment from doing that, while bonsai was still being maintained. And latterly, in the last 10 years or so, dance, in the same way that Lauren gets pleasure and happiness from dance, dance, I would say, is my principal enjoyment in life at the moment, more so than bonsai, believe it or not. Bonsai is only a means of living, but I still enjoy bonsai. But dance gives me immense enjoyment. So why is it that certain activities give certain people pleasure? You know, this is what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you think that is?
Well, what we came up with here was the fact that we'd all been beaten down so much that we had not much self-worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually
yeah.
someone giving you that one first pat on the back here,
That you're good at something.
Yes.
can
Yes.
that
Yeah.
empowers
Someone
you,
seeing
you
something
know
in
what I mean,
you.
know?
Yeah.
And then I mean, not for an egotistical reason,
Yeah.
just because it empowers you, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, and then you go along and you get good at it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You look at Claudia. You know what I mean? He's now an ordained priest. Yeah. You know what I mean? You've got a degree in dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Peter came from India. Yeah, with like £6 in his pocket.
With 3 quid.
Oh, £3. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was a skinhead on the council
Yeah.
estate, thinking, where the
Yeah.
hell am I going to go with my
Yeah.
life?
Yeah.
Similar story
And
to you
bonsai came in
guys,
your
you
life,
know.
or gardening.
And that structured my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. So I think
Meaning and purpose, isn't
it
it?
gives you meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean. And
Yeah.
and you follow that.
Yeah.
And
I
then-
think there's scientific stuff behind it as well. There's sort of dopamine and that kind of like real things that we get from drugs and crime and all of that stuff. In my early part of the year, it was a thrill, and it was a kind of like, and then it became a sort of a survival instinct. But then when I danced and people would pay me to dance and people would fly me around the world to dance, I'd be like, that the same feeling of power and of purpose and of like, wow.
Does it depend on whether you're good or bad at it? Because
I think it's passion.
is it?
I think it's passion.
No, we are
in
lucky that
myself.
you're at the top of your game. You're recognized, in my view, you're the greatest artist of bonsai in the UK.
I'll
know?
pay you later.
No, no, no,
3 quid.
no, really. You've got a certain talent there. I think most of us who are good at certain things, it's like a God-given talent. But that aside, a lot of people enjoy it because they enjoy it. And this is where I think we're talking of the bonsai community now. We tend to run people down and say, he's rubbish, that person is rubbish. I think we should get away from that, because this is where a lot of the politics and jealousy arises. We think that I'm better than him, that person is rubbish, he's not good. And that is where the enjoyment is taken out of the hobby.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't like to say it. I like to keep myself away from that side of the politics, because I genuinely feel it brings a toxic culture, toxic atmosphere to the hobby. So what I'm trying to tell my viewers now is that however humble a person is, however bad his bonsai is, we
Yeah.
should encourage them because it is his best effort.
Absolutely.
It is his best
Yeah,
effort.
yeah.
And
You
who
know,
knows how
Yeah.
what it took for that person to get to that place. That's the thing.
they've had a journey. They've
Yeah,
enjoyed
exactly.
it,
And some
yeah.
people might have an easy journey to get there.
Oh.
Some people, it takes everything they've got just to,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
to keep a
And
tree
then
alive.
some people,
or to,
yeah, that well, you might not consider if you're at the top of your game, might not consider that they're the best person at that yet. Who's
Yeah.
to say they're not going to become that? Yeah,
Absolutely.
I always say to my
Absolutely.
students, the only difference between me and you is
yeah.
time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
it's,
and dedication and
it's
yeah.
40 years in the same business.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, honing my skills. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyone can do it. Yeah, you know what I mean?
But
Yeah.
the main thing is to enjoy it while you're doing it.
Oh
Absolutely.
God,
You know,
yes.
and
you
don't
know?
decry,
Yeah.
don't criticize those who are not as good as you. You
No,
know,
no.
Everything good and bad is relative.
Mm.
In one culture, what is beautiful you would consider ugly, and what you would consider ugly to them it would be beautiful. So it's, everything is relative. I think
It's all objective, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You can't, you know,
Subjective,
subjective.
yes. Yeah.
You can't stamp anything,
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not set in stone, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People like, you know, you can go into a bonsai show, yeah, and, you know, everyone knows what the best tree is and the best technique that's been carried out, but people love other trees,
Yeah.
yeah, in the show,
Yeah.
you know? You know,
Yeah.
who's best, yeah, Ranware or Gauguin,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. you
But
know
this
what
is
I mean?
where that's another subject. We may come
Yeah.
to that on another occasion about judging trees and competitions. One of the reasons why I've drifted away from exhibiting and competitions is that certain things, especially in art, it is so subjective. How can
Yeah,
you say
yeah.
that this one is better than that one,
Yeah.
this one is better than that one?
Yeah.
Even in beauty contests, you know, in
Yeah.
another culture, a beautiful woman may be, you know,
Yeah.
the best
Yeah.
in their eyes, but
Yeah.
in another culture it may
That's
not
correct.
be.
Yeah.
So same with bonsai, you know.
You know, and dance also, yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, sometimes, yeah, you know, I'll make a tree, right, yeah, and I'm not satisfied with it. And then other times, you know, I have this, you know, fusion, yeah, of something that happens where I know I've
The
made
magic.
something magic,
yeah,
you know?
the magic.
And it's the same with
yeah,
dance, isn't it?
absolutely.
You know?
And
Yeah.
I think it's like that. So when I discovered dancing, and I just did it because it saved me, then it became my job, and then it changed because I was doing it for people and I was being paid to do it, and my love of it kind of fell. You know, it was like I had to wear a certain thing and be a certain way, and now I've come back to dance in a different way. I'm just doing it because I love it again. You know, it's kind of it's taken on a new.
Same thing with me.
Yeah, I don't do it because I need to be, you know, a certain
Approved,
way or,
yeah.
or paid for to do that. You know, it's my passion again. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
there's always that. You know, a lot of I guess musicians go through that, and artists go through that, don't they? When they have to produce stuff, you lose
And
that
then you have to
essence.
conform to certain patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the love of it can
It'll-
the
yeah.
love of it can go. So I think there's always that fine line, isn't there, of staying with why we did it in the first place, and so it's always nice to
But
have.
my God, if we all started in the beginning, right, and then people had told you, yeah, back in your past life, right, yeah.
If we'd have all met
that
on that
you'd have been
council
ordained,
estate.
yeah, you know, or where you were ordained,
Yeah, yeah,
and you'd have a
yeah,
degree,
yeah, yeah.
And you would have the, you know, the best bonsai
Yeah.
nursery in Great Britain, and I would have been the top. You wouldn't have believed
Yeah,
it, would you? You know
no
what I mean,
way,
you know?
no way.
You know, so it is a journey of, you
Yeah.
know.
But this is where, if you've had a bad experience or made mistakes, we always say that you learn more from mistakes
Yeah.
than from
Yeah.
successes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all these difficult parts of your journey have enriched your life.
Yes.
Look at
Yeah.
it like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you
Yeah.
appreciate more what you've
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and you can appreciate other people's point of view.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
as
it's
I
brought us
become-
all
yes,
together and
yeah.
had an interesting lunch and a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So I hope this conversation will resonate with some of our viewers because I honestly feel in a nice sort of way that is far too much negativity in
Yeah.
any hobby or interest. We can only
Yeah.
speak of bonsai because we
Yeah.
are more familiar with it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it goes on in other worlds.
Yeah.
I remember coming across a dog breeder once and he shows at Crufts and he was saying, oh, if the tail is not curly or not straight in a certain way, it gets marked out. How does it matter, you know?
Yeah.
They're still dogs and you still enjoy it. Same with bonsai. If you say that, oh, he hasn't put the scroll right No, he hasn't put that right, hasn't put this right. It's a rubbish tree.
Mm.
I told you this famous incident back in, I think that Birmingham show, 1991.
Oh, yeah.
Someone showed a tried maple group with about like 50 or so little twigs or trees to make that group. And there was a guy in front of me with his friend counting the trees, and he counted, I think, 46 trees. And he turned around to his friend and said, "This is a rubbish group." So his friend asked him why. "I've counted, there are 46 trees. It's not a odd number, you know." So you get people like that. You know? However beautiful the thing is, they will criticize
They'll find
it.
something.
Find something wrong. So find something good in people.
Yeah.
Find something beautiful and
I think
enjoyable.
follow your joy, follow your bliss. Otherwise, life's too short, right?
The other thing is we've all had a great journey here, and turn things around right here. Why shouldn't you put your hand back here and help someone
Absolutely.
along? You know what I mean, and put them on the same pathway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the goal, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a reason we all made it this far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
sunset.
this discussion really is to show that there's a deeper side to any hobby. You know, we make
Definitely.
bonsai mechanically and all that, but people don't realize that there is, I don't like the word spiritual, but there is a spiritual dimension to any pastime, not just bonsai, because you get that feeling of being good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the goodness and the enjoyment is almost a divine feeling,
Yeah.
isn't it? You know, it's a pure experience. So that is what we are trying to convey to you.
Yeah.
What makes people happy, you know?
Yeah.
Happiness, that divine feeling of happiness,
Yeah.
you know?
Actually, I think bonsai for me offers a joy, a sustainable joy that's rarely found somewhere else. And I think as human beings, we inherently want to find fulfillment externally, and therefore we explore various things like substance misuse or various hobbies, or people jump out of planes for the kick, and each to their own. But I think with bonsai, it provides a longer lasting joy because it's a slower process, and it's something that I personally can return to time and time again, and it's never ending. For me, I always learn something. And I do think there's a stage that everybody goes through from making that mechanical bonsai. And I do think you have to get through, you have to push through that finding fault stage. You guys know more than I do, but I think you'll only limit yourself when you get stuck in that finding fault stage. Once you push through that, you can get a lot out of bonsai.
Except that on the negative side, we should look at every aspect. There could be the addiction aspect of it, because in any pastime or anything, it can become addictive. Have you ever thought about that?
I think, again, I'm not a specialist on this subject, but they say we form our neurological pathways at a really early stage, and it depends on your personality type as to what addiction people get addicted to collecting stamps, so I think they could definitely get addicted to bonsai, but I think the nature of the subject is less demanding, personally
A
speaking.
lot healthier than a drug addiction or a substance addiction.
I think the same
or
thing happens. I think you build up a synaptic network.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That will lead you to that joy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the same. It's the same pathway.
It's the same.
isn't it?
It's the same thing actually.
Yeah,
you
but
know
it's
what I
a
mean,
healthy,
you know?
a healthier
But it's
choice.
healthy. You're not killing yourself or
Yeah.
messing your head up. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You know.
Outdoors have been known to be proven to be
Yeah.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
So it's a positive,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
gardening. That's why
Yeah.
you'll often get suggested or advised by professionals to do a bit of gardening, get
Yeah.
outside, get outdoors. And I think the bonsai actually is
The connection with nature,
the
people
connection with nature.
Nature.
It's a smaller form of that. I think
Yeah.
bonsai gives you
We
that
said that in
connection
the
with
last
nature.
film, didn't we?
Yes, I
Talking
know,
about
connection with nature.
that
Yeah.
connection with nature. Yeah,
Again, I know people are shy about talking about God because there's that spiritual side again.
Yes.
Nature is the spirit, you know. It's almost like a God in itself. Nature.
Yeah, well, there's
So
a
you're
lot of
connecting,
absolutely.
connecting with
I
that.
think also when
Absolutely.
your mind quietens as well, and you're in nature, or for me when I'm dancing or drawing or spending time in the quiet, I hear things that I might not have heard. You know, like just a gentle nudge, do this or go there or speak to that person, or it's like a sort of a fine tuning into that guidance, if you like. And I think those quiet times with probably, you know, you with your bonsai, and when I'm moving, it's like I might not have heard that voice had I just been running around doing it, you know, in a busy way or a willful way or a,
I think you know, when you're doing bonsai, you're not transmitting, you're receiving.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's a receiving, isn't it?
And I think that's probably
Yeah.
correct. You would
Yeah.
say, you know, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
and there are the times when you get the messages.
Yeah.
You know.
that nice little guidance time.
And the relationships that you can make with these trees, yeah, is undescribable until you get, you
Yeah.
know, you got to get a few years in. You got to have had one piece for a several amount of years, maybe.
After all, it's a living thing, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So I hope people have benefit from this, because the feedback will be very interesting, because even in the course of my ordinary YouTube videos, people keep reminding me what a lot of comfort and solace they get from doing bonsai. There's something in it. It's always intrigued me. I cannot understand it, because it may affect others in a certain way. I don't have the same response of feeling that they get. They're very fortunate if they can get it, but it's always intrigued me, so I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. But my message again is to be tolerant, isn't it? Enjoy what you do and share your enjoyment and happiness with others.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. It's a gift.
So, thank you very much for this conversation.
It's
Thank
a pleasure.
You, thank you.
All right, so
Thank you for the lovely lunch too.
thank you.